Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Heart, our English language programme here on Angelus TV in Romania. I'm Sister Mary, and my guest this afternoon is a sister from my congregation, Els Claessens. Els is a theologian and has worked as a chaplain in Belgium and more recently in England. So I'm delighted to welcome you, Els, here to our studio for this programme.
Thank you.
So some people who study theology move into politics or they found NGOs. What was the dream that drove you to study theology?
Well, to study theology, I don't really know if I had a dream. So theology was my second degree. I was an archaeologist first. But after finishing my studies, I wasn't 100% sure whether I was passionate enough to remain in archaeology. And I'd had a conversation about faith with my father, actually, that got me thinking. So I grew up Catholic, but at quite a young age, when I was 14, my mother passed away, and that caused me to have a crisis in my faith. So I stopped practicing at that point. I wouldn't say I became an atheist, but I wasn't practicing anymore. And I'd had a conversation with my father when I was about 22, 23, when I was working in archaeology. My father's faith had remained very strong despite my mother's illness and her passing away. And something in his testimony was just very personal and just got me thinking whether I'd given up on my faith, my childhood faith, too soon. So I was thinking what I would do, changing my career, studying something else. And somehow I felt attracted to studying theology. So I think I was searching for faith, but at that point I'd lost any connection with the church. So I didn't know people anymore who were practicing. I didn't go to church anymore. I didn't belong to a faith community. So I think I came back to faith very much through an intellectual pathway. I wanted to learn more about faith. And the only way I could think of was by going to university and actually studying theology. So that's how I started.
Interesting, the idea that archaeology, I had never thought of this before, although I knew you had been a student of archaeology and that you had worked as an archaeologist, that both of them are about digging, theology, and digging for something, for some truth, digging for... And if theology is about exploring or digging for the nature of God, you came across bibliodrama while you were a student, I think. How has that broadened or encouraged you to keep exploring?
Yes, so I said my way into faith was very much through the head, learning more about God and understanding it. Whilst I was studying theology, I was also meeting more people for who faith was important. And I started exploring more on a spiritual level, trying to go back to church, joining prayer groups, trying different ways of prayer. And then I participated in a bibliodrama workshop. And it struck me very much how bibliodrama engages the whole body, not just the brain or the head, And that was really an eye-opener for me.
So I'm hearing that from the head and eyes opening, something about the whole body that was making sense to you, almost that you can't reach faith through the head.
Well, I think that the head is part of our body, and I think definitely for me it was my way in, but it wasn't sufficient. I think in the end, faith requires a leap of faith beyond the brain and beyond rationalizing it and saying, well, this makes sense, or it makes more sense than I initially thought rationally. It's something of the whole person, like it's beyond reason.
Beyond reason. That's very well put as well.
Yeah.
And I first came across the term bibliodrama here in Romania when I was on a course for spiritual directors. But I don't think it's that well known in England, maybe not even here in Romania, but it is well known in Europe. And you have been privileged to experiment with this form of exploring faith. So can you tell me a little bit about what the components are of bibliodrama? So how do you get from the head into the body?
So there are always three components to bibliodrama. First, there is a warm-up to help people to make the shift from the head to the whole body. So it can be predominantly by moving around, really, by doing simple stretching exercises, by moving around, by walking around, by dancing maybe. So there's a warm-up. Then there is the main part, the playing part, where we explore the Bible text that's been brought in a variety of ways, really. So the name bibliodrama might be a little bit misleading, indicating that it's always drama or reenactment. It's much broader than just drama. So it's exploring and engaging with the text through a variety of creative ways, and drama could be one way of doing that. But it could also be through dance, through music, through other ways of self-expression, maybe by art, and depending on how much time is available, a variety of ways could be used. And then finally, there is a reflection process to look back on the experience. You know, what did it all mean? Yeah.
As you say that, it reminds me a little bit of our Ignatian spirituality and how we've been used to preparing and then entering into prayer with the imagination, but then reflecting on our prayer period.
Yeah.
So would there be a parallel with that?
Yes, very much. So Ignatian spirituality is my preferred way of praying, and I find that there are certain similarities between imaginative contemplation and bibliodrama, especially through role play. People step into a Bible story. Stories where there's an action are the easiest, but bibliodrama is certainly not limited to these stories. So people take on a role or step into a role. They can choose a role maybe they feel drawn to, but they can also make a conscious choice, maybe say, well, I notice I always step into the role of the spectator. I'm always placing myself in the crowd. What would happen if I take center stage? And then surprising things can happen. Some things I find fascinating about bibliodrama is also that it's a group process. While imaginative contemplation you just do on yourself. So you pray, you set the scene, you step into a role, and you reflect, you engage with God. Because bibliodrama is a group process, it brings in an added dimension. So how other people react and act just influences you in your role as well, and can open a new perspective.
Sounds fascinating. But how do you establish that kind of trust in a group? Because if you are going to almost bare your soul in a group, how does that get created? I mean, do the groups know each other? Are they groups that continue, or are they one-offs? Or how does it work that you enter into a scene in a group, in a bibliodrama session?
So there's a variety of ways of doing it. So some bibliodrama workshops are just one-off experiences. People don't know each other. They might sign up, maybe at a conference. There's an opportunity for a bibliodrama workshop, or the German Kirchentage is an example of this. People don't know each other. So it's important, I think, for the facilitator to go quite gently on the people, to lead them in gently, and maybe not to have too many expectations. Groups vary in size. Sometimes groups are small, sometimes they're bigger. I find between 8 and 15 is a nice size group. And then stepping into a role provides a certain safety for people. So people bring their own experience, but when they interact with each other, they are in the role. So they don't say things as themselves. They say it as the blind person in need of healing, or as the adulterous woman, or as Jesus even, or as the Pharisee. It's only afterwards, when they step back out of the role, that they speak as themselves and say, well, this experience evoked these and these feelings. But then they're more in control. They're free to share as much or as little as they want to share.
And as you know, Angelus TV is one of the aims is for evangelization and for enabling people to see other forms of faith. Can you tell us a little bit about the most recent experience you had? You're still learning, so you talk about facilitator, that one day you can actually offer to do these courses. I think you told me that you'd worked on Psalm 149 in Liechtenstein. Is that right?
Yes,
yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So my first experiences in bibliodrama were as a participant, but the last couple of years I've become interested in training to be a facilitator, offering this to other people. And I was lucky enough to be accepted into a European bibliodrama training, supported by Erasmus Plus and Het Leertje, which is the Flemish Bibliodrama Society. Together with people from all over Europe, even beyond Europe. We've got a man originally from South Africa, a woman from the Philippines, another woman from the United States.
All bringing their experiences.
Yes. So at the moment, 15 of us are doing the advanced training. So we did a basic training in Sweden, and now of 2 weeks, and now we're doing 5 modules. Every 6 months we meet in a different European place, and we learn through experience, experiencing bibliodrama ourselves, but also reflecting on the process and trying out various methods ourselves. So the biggest richness of this experience for me is that the group is so diverse. So I already mentioned people come from different parts of the world, bringing so many different cultural backgrounds, you know, living in apartheid in South Africa, of different cultures. People also have different faith backgrounds. So some of us are Catholics, some of us are Methodists, Lutheran, Protestant. So it's very, very ecumenical. And it's just amazing how diverse this group is. But also how people are able to express themselves and trust each other. Now, this is the big advantage because we know each other and we get to know each other better and better, that we feel so free in each other's presence and that people are so accepting. I find it's a remarkable experience of, ecumenism and even peace building.
Peace building. And even so recently, the Pope has invited us all, beyond our Catholic minds, to pray for peace in Israel particularly. And I imagine when you prayed with Psalm 149, that must have come to the fore, or did it?
Yes, so this last module in Liechtenstein focused on music and dance. And we worked with Psalm 149, which is quite a difficult psalm, actually, consisting of 2 parts. And the first part is very lovely. Hallelujah, praise the Lord.
Sing a new song.
Yes, sing a new song. But then the tone changes and it becomes about vengeance and punishment and how God favors Israel above other communities and faiths. So it evoked really quite strong feelings in the group. It's especially poignant because we know what's happening at the moment in Israel. So really, there are so many different realms of experiences that are being brought in. The experience of the personal experience of the people who are participating, the experiences the other people in the group bring, the Bible text, God, but also what's happening in the world. So people are engaging with this, and this psalm was particularly tricky, to say the least.
How did you cope with it, you personally?
Well, for me, a key word was ambiguity.
Oh, right. Okay.
It was also realizing that the Bible is it's a big book, and we are naturally drawn to certain passages we like and we find easy, and we love to pray with them.
They're consoling.
And they're consoling, yes. And some passages are really hard and tricky, but so we ignore them. So sometimes it's really quite good just to be forced to work with them.
To grapple with.
to grapple with them. And I find bibliodrama a very helpful way of doing that, just to wrestle with with the text. And just, there's something very real about that, you know, like life isn't wonderful and amazing all the time. Life is also a struggle, and there are injustices. And just to ask the question, where is God in that? And I think one of the things I love about bibliodrama is that it doesn't provide answers, or it doesn't provide just one answer.
But it invites you to keep exploring.
But it invites to keep on exploring. Almost like it's more important to ask questions than to receive
the treasure, almost.
Yeah, than to receive answers. And sometimes there are different answers, you know. And one thing sometimes we do in bibliodrama is like it's called the empty chair. And people ask a question to the empty chair. Let's imagine Jesus is sitting there, or Mary, and we have questions for him or for her. Or God even can be on the empty chair. And we ask the question, and people are invited to go and stand behind the chair and answer and say, well, this is my answer. But someone else can then say, well, this is my answer. It's completely different.
And so you begin to see that God is beyond our answers, beyond our bracketing, beyond our descriptions.
Yes.
It's like Jerry Hughes said, the God of surprises.
Yes.
It's constantly there. And it seems like you've been on a journey of that from the age of 14, and then coming back to faith, wondering, what is there here for me? And somehow you have stuck with it, and you continue to explore. And I'm immensely grateful for your willingness to share both your personal story and your passion for this. And I'm just wondering, when you have completed the training, or even as a trainee, would you be willing to offer one of these sessions to an ecumenical group? And what kind of group, and where might this happen?
Yes, I'm very interested in, or willing to offer bibliodrama if there are opportunities. I think the most important requirement is simply that people are willing to engage. That people are just willing to ask questions, and maybe, as you said, you know, it's not that well known, that they are willing and open to try something new, exploring scripture in this new way. Whether it's Catholic or Christian, is, for me, isn't that important. It could even be wider interfaith, which is what the Bibliodrama Society is experimenting with, looking at going beyond Christians.
Thank you. I'm sorry to say, but I think our programme's coming to an end. So
it's fine.
Thank you again, Els, for coming here today and sharing with us your own faith journey and your passion for bibliodrama.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for watching, and please tune in again for the next person. Thank you.